Welcome to the 1% Club, where we talk about small changes that have a real impact every episode. I've worked with a lot of teams trying to improve how they deliver, and honestly, it gets complicated fast. This is about keeping it simple, small experiments for you to try. Let's go. Here's a small change that I made to the quarterly planning or PI planning process. It took a few attempts, but completely changed how teams showed up. I was working across 3 teams, multiple product owners, multiple stakeholders, different sources of work coming in, and every quarter we'd run a big quarterly planning session. Now, if you've ever been in one of these, you'll recognize this straight away. Everybody turns up. Engineers, testers, project managers, scrum masters, stakeholders. We block out 1 to 3 hours, and for most people in that room, that's the first time they're seeing the full picture. All the requests, all the competing priorities, all the constraints. Everything, all at once. And so what happens? We spend most of that session trying to understand what's even on the table, debating priorities, challenging decisions in real time. And you can feel it. It's slow, it's reactive, and it's so messy. And the teams I was working with had an extra layer of complexity. They had their own initiatives that they wanted to run. So even before we actually started to do any planning, there was already tension around. What matters the most? And this is what clicked for me. We weren't planning in those sessions. We were just starting the conversation, which is, of course, way too late. So what's the change? Instead of starting quarterly planning in that 1-2 hour session, we started it 6 weeks prior, and the focus shifted to one thing: preparation. What did that look like? So the first step was I asked each stakeholder group to prioritize their own list. Not perfectly, not collaboratively, just within your area. What matters the most to you? I did this for all the different groups that were feeding work into the team. And then I brought the decision makers together in one room. Not the full team, just the people who could actually make those trade-offs. And we had a different type of conversation. We were able to speak about how each of those initiatives compared to each other and the grand scheme of what the company was trying to achieve. Now, this didn't magically fix everything. It didn't work right away, far from it. Sometimes we could agree there and then. Sometimes we had to go away and speak to different stakeholder groups to reassess and come back. But that was the point. The conversation had started way sooner. By the time we got to the actual quarterly planning session, we now had a prioritized list between all the stakeholder groups, a clearer understanding of the trade-offs, fewer surprises, and we shared that list ahead of time with the teams so they could come to the planning session with context, early awareness of the constraints. And I'll say it again, it didn't become smooth overnight. It took a good 2 or 3 quarters for it to become really effective. Each time refining the process to have better conversations and becoming aligned earlier. But gradually things did shift. For stakeholders, they got clarity on where their work sits. There were fewer last-minute surprises, and for the teams, well, they had absolute focus. And the key takeaway for me was that planning doesn't happen in that meeting itself. Planning happens way before the meeting. So if your PI planning sessions feel slow, messy, and reactive, start the conversation earlier. Begin your preparation well in advance. A small step of bringing key decision makers together before the start of your planning, that could have a big difference. There's your 1% for this week. Don't overthink it. Just try one small change and build from there. If this resonated, I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time.